In this video, we are going to be talking about some of the hottest NFT mints you do not want to miss out on, as well as what's going on in the markets and also some of my greatest lessons when it comes to investing and trading NFTs. All right, so the first project that we are going to talk about is going to be Project PXN, which is going to be one of the hottest NFT mints coming up real soon. And by the time you watch this, maybe it's going to be minting today, or maybe it is already minted out, right? So it depends on when this video comes out. But I kind of want to talk about real quickly the mint details that literally was just launched a few hours ago. Now, before we go ahead and dive into this, I want to be completely transparent where PXN actually gave me and my community some whitelist opportunities. And I'm also friends with some of the people that run, Nanoverse and PXN, but that doesn't change my opinion. I'm still going to give you my honest take as I usually do. So starting off the bat, right? So when we're going on the PXN Twitter page, they have this, PXN mint details. So May 4th, which is going to be, I believe, the Star Wars Day, right? May the 4th be with you. They are going to be doing a Dutch auction, which is going to have 4,000 supply at a fair Dutch auction starting price to Ethereum, right? And so every 15 minutes, what's going to happen is that the price is going to be reduced by 0.5 until the price is finally 0.1 at its lowest. And you're only going to pay the final bid price, meaning it's a fair Dutch auction, right? So what that means is that, let's say you paid 1.9 Ethereum, and then at the end, the lowest price somebody paid was 1 Ethereum. Well, you will get refunded that 0.9. So in a way, even if you paid high in the beginning, if someone paid lower than you, then you would get the same price as the person that paid lower. So you don't feel like, oh man, I paid too much for this thing. So after that, they're going to have a private sale slash whitelist mint, and it's going to be 50% of the Dutch auction price capped at 0.35. Meaning if the Dutch auction for the public ended at 1 Ethereum, they're going to take 50% of that, which is 0.5. But because the cap is at 0.35, then the maximum you would pay is 0.35, which I think it's fair for people that earn the whitelist. And then for any NFTs that did not get mint, I think they're going to mint it themselves and keep it in a vault. But most likely this is going to mint out, so we don't even have to worry about the third part of this. Now, the issue here is that a lot of people feel like 2 Ethereum starting off may be a little too high, because we've seen experiences where we had Pixelmon, which was a 3 Ethereum Dutch auction, and we see other projects as well that had very high prices as well. And then in the end, all these prices just like almost went to zero, or they just like decreased by like 10x. And so people may have been burnt in the past or maybe very skeptical of projects. I can understand why they feel 2 Ethereum might be a little high. But I wanted to dive into this, to give a fair argument on both sides, right? So that's that argument where if you charge a high price and then you don't deliver, then really the holders are taking majority of the risk and you can actually just run away with the money. But then on the other end, if you look at projects like Moonbirds, for example, or Zuki, where they had a higher Dutch auction and people just minted out at the whatever the highest price was, and then the floor ended up being much higher than what you minted it for, so you're happy either way. It can definitely go in both directions. More often than not, projects tend to go down because the quality of founders are not that good. But for the quality founders that actually put in the work and actually want to build a real company, well, usually those projects have a higher chance of going up. For me personally, for the 2 ETH Dutch auction, in my opinion, based on all the marketing that they have done, so for Phantom Network, they have 400,000 followers on Twitter. Everything they're posting is getting like thousands and thousands of likes. So obviously there's a lot of people who are into this. They even made the conscious decision to translate this in Chinese because they know that they have a lot of people who speak Chinese and maybe not necessarily English as the first language. They're going to be catering to those people as well. So obviously this is going to be a pretty hyped mint where people internationally are going to be minting it. And the art itself, it is one of the strongest art in my opinion for a PFP project. It has that League of Legends, Valorant style. So it's definitely expensive to do this art, and it's really difficult to find the right artists to actually execute and put this together. So when we're talking about art quality, it definitely is one of the top tier anime style type of art. And honestly, when you look into the black market or the gray market, not the official one, but people buying and selling whitelist when they're not really supposed to, people are buying those whitelist opportunities for 2 ETH. So the market is already kind of valuing it on the underground for at least 2 ETH, not even including the mint and gas prices. In the way, that is what the market already values it, right? So in a way, could PXN actually charge more than 2 ETH? They could actually. I wouldn't be surprised, if they did 3 ETH, people would probably be angry, but then I'm pretty sure people would still buy it. So 2 ETH, personally, I think it's what people value it at. So there's also the argument that, okay, it's going to be 2 ETH, all right, so what are you going to do with the money, right? Because we've seen other projects just disappear, like Pixelmon, for example, and it's just literally just a cash grab. So I feel like PXN, I literally just did an interview with Ray yesterday, which we're going to post on YouTube real soon. But then even after the interview, we just chatted for 45 minutes or an hour, and I was just really just asking him questions about his project and what he was doing. doing, because as someone who is starting my own project, wink wink, I'm basically looking for advice on like how to do this in the best way. And what I've learned from talking to Ray is that the way I look at PXN is almost like a technology startup with a PFP in the front. So if you think about it, when you look at Nanoverse and PXN, you got these like cool pictures of like, you know, anime waifu kind of style characters that people gravitate towards. And it's like people are like, oh, I want to belong in this community. This is my kind of people. And you have this whole community and tribe, right? And then from there, what happens is that because you have a community, like minimal viable community, meaning that you have these group of people that have a similar aesthetic, similar mindset, they like similar things. So because you have this strong community, you can create different products on top of it and basically serve your community by creating real utility. And so based on my conversation with Ray, and you'll hear it on the interview whenever it comes out, they are building a lot of like utility products for their users. Now, the question is, will people actually use these products or not? That remains to be seen, but I do know that they're spending a lot of resources on making it high quality. And it's really interesting to think about it because it's almost like kind of like investing in a tech startup, but it's flipping the model on its head. And I really learned this from the Web 2 world, where there's this software called ClickFunnels, for example, started by Russell Brunson and other co-founders. And let me explain this and I'll attach it to like NFTs. So like for ClickFunnels, for example, basically the guy was really like a multimillionaire selling online courses about teaching you how to be rich, right? And the stuff he actually put out was actually good, useful, and it worked because I read those books, I went through the courses, and it actually does work. Basically, they're selling online courses, which, you know, they make it one time, they can sell it forever, and they're making millions of dollars. From there, they take that money and invest it into software, which helps people sell their product and services online, which is ClickFunnels, right? When somebody buys an online course, they're like, okay, I want to take it to the next level. Let me buy this software, right? And so as a software company, ClickFunnels is able to acquire new users and get paid at the same time. Whereas the traditional technology startup will have to spend hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars to acquire new users, meaning like running Facebook ads, running Google ads, YouTube ads, basically advertisement to bring people in. If you're able to make money and bring people in at the same time and then upsell them into your next product, that is genius, because that is like you're basically getting paid to grow, right? And so when I look at PXN, I kind of see a similar model where you launch an NFT. At the end of the day, it is a picture that represents a community, right? And then from there, you have this community, a diehard community that really loves what you do. And then when you build a service or a product or anything that serves that community and brings real world utility, well, you can actually charge for that particular service as people find it valuable. And then it's almost like you got paid to sell the NFT, and then you got paid to service them by creating more products and services. And that's actually quite a genius model, because project doesn't have to go to VCs. They don't have to raise a bunch of funding and give up percentages of their company. They can actually, in a way, crowdsource the funding from their users. And at the same time, the users or the people that hold the NFT have opportunity to ride that upside as well. And so yes, 2 ETH is a lot of money, but if you think about it more as a technology startup, not necessarily just a picture like on an NFT, right? Then it's actually so much more. And they haven't necessarily revealed all the different products and features that they created quite yet. I mean, like one of them that they did put on their Twitter was this secondary utility where you're going to be able to buy and sell certain products using Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies. Is very interesting play. Like, could the PXN NFT basically be like seed funding for this entire ecosystem that is going to expand outside of just like intellectual property, but go into actual utility that people use? That is, I believe, the sell. So if their vision is a lot grander than just having a PFP and doing the metaverse, which I believe it is, then I can understand why they are charging a high price for this Dutch auction. And if people kind of understand that message and you believe that their team is actually going to execute on it, well, then suddenly like the 2 ETH price seems a little more fair than it did, you know, a second ago. Now, I'm not saying that you should buy it. I'm not saying that it's the most amazing entry. I'm not saying that it's going to be a riskless opportunity, but I am saying that there is justification for why people put these prices. Now, of course, you know, you might be wondering like, you know, how much money is the founder going to take? How much goes into the company? That I literally don't know, because I couldn't find any public information about that. But I do know that they're investing a lot of resources into building these things, especially when it comes to art. Like, you know, I'm doing my own PFP and I kind of have an understanding of like how much art costs and how difficult it is to get good artists. And this art is pretty much like one of the best like anime projects right now. So, you know, it does cost a lot of money to do that, and to build these tools costs a lot of money. Engineers, Solidity developers cost a lot of money as well. So it's like for a grander vision, you kind of need a bigger war chest to actually get the job done. So the next thing we are going to be talking about is going to be the market sentiments. I'm going to be using Nansen for this, and Nansen has different free features that you can use. So whatever I'm looking at right here, it is the free stuff that you can use yourself. So when we're looking at the NFT 500, basically it's like an index fund of the top 500 NFTs to see, I believe, their market cap. The market kind of has been going sideways for a little bit, but when we look at the top 10 NFTs, they kind of been blowing up. So that means that as people consolidate their money into the top 10, the other projects start to fall in floor price. But then actually, even though the market is moving sideways, the money is kind of just shifting around, and everyone's playing this game of poker of how many chips can you stack if you move your money in the right way. So right now the meta is moving your money into blue chips, and that's why we see first we saw everybody move their money into buying ApeCoin and buying the other side lands, right? And then from there, you know, those prices start to dump. So after everybody got their land, their quotas and everything like that, prices for BAYC started to dump, and like Mutant Apes started also dumping as well. So as you can see, just over the past few days, the floor went from like 40 Ethereum all the way to like 20 Ethereum, and that's like a 50% drop, right? And so yes, there's a lot of money moving around in the market, but at the same time, it's like new money is not really coming in, and the money is just moving from one place to another. So now that everybody's tired with Mutant Apes, they're kind of recycling their money into different underrated projects that kind of like went down a lot after the ape coin and all that kind of stuff. We see like projects like Murakami Flowers, and I'm using NFT Go, by the way. This is also free, so you can use it as well. A lot of volume going to Murakami Flowers, and then obviously the floor price is going up to, you know, 8 Ethereum, whereas a few days ago or a week ago, it was like 6. If we look at CloneX, for example, a lot of volume moving into CloneX as well. Floor price is steadily increasing from like 15 to 20. Doodles had this huge run where I believe they are announcing something in May, so that's why everyone's like buying Doodles again. And so now they're running up from like a 15 Ethereum floor to a 25 Ethereum, which is insane. Beans as well, where you put up an announcement where on 5/5/22 they are going to be dropping something with the beans. Most likely, my guess is that the beans are going to be revealed, and I think people are kind of hyped for that review because like beans kind of been under the radar in a sense. Because like beans, I mean, like at one point just like a couple days ago, beans were like, you know, 4.3 Ethereum, and now it's running up all the way to 7 Ethereum. So that's actually quite a big jump. You know, are people going to be actually happy with the review that, you know, is beans and everything like that? Well, that remains to be seen, because a lot of times when things reveal, a lot of people dump, and then the price just lowers because people are not really happy, or maybe they just buy it because they're selling the news. In other cases, if the art is really good, sometimes they just like skyrocket. So like we've seen like Moonbirds, for example, they just skyrocket from the get. So really just depends on the project. And I feel like beans, because it's attached to Azuki and they probably will surprisingly delight everybody, my guess is that the price will continue to go up and not dump. But again, it's not financial advice, it's just a speculation, and I could be totally wrong. It's literally a coin flip. So I mean, the main lesson I'm learning here is that, you know, whenever there's going to be like some major event, liquidity event, where like ApeCoin, for example, pumping like crazy and, you know, selling the other side's land, it seems like what tends to happen is everybody will sell their other assets and all the other projects start to go down. Everybody consolidates their money into the top projects like Bored Ape, Mutant Ape, and they want to get this land and the quotas and stuff like that. And then what happens is that when people buy the thing, it gets hyped, they make profit, they double their money, sometimes they make a lot more than double, and then they cash out in ETH, and then they're like, okay, well, Bored Apes are not really the move right now, Mutant Apes are dumping right now, so I definitely got to put my money somewhere else. Oh wait, CloneX is at a good price, Murakami is at a good price, oh look at these beans, 4 Ethereum, right? And so because they have all these ETH, they're just gonna move it into the next thing that they feel like is undervalued and has a narrative play to pump. So when Azuki announced that bean thing, they're like right after other side land sale, they announced that on May 5th something is happening. The narrative suddenly changes, and so narrative is how the money moves, right? And all these projects, they are 100% aware and they know what they're doing, and they're timing these things perfectly so that when the attention for one project kind of dissipates, they're going to capture that attention and move all the money into their project, right? So it's similar to like PXN, for example. They are announcing their mint and all that stuff right after the other side sale. Beans doing the same thing. Murakami Flower seems like it's going to be revealed as well. As we can see over here, there's some rumors, and suddenly like during this time, everybody's like tweeting this thing of like, this is what the Murakami Flowers are going to look like. This is the teasers. Who got this? Oh, it's a secret, right? I mean, I saw this before like a week ago, but like it kind of resurfaced and drove the narrative, and everybody's like trying to buy Murakami Flowers once again. And then CloneX is like, oh yeah, don't worry guys, we're building something like we always do, right? And so it's narrative building, narrative building, narrative building. We even see 3D Carrefour, right? They're starting to tease a lot more of their legendary 3D because all the attention is dissipating and moving to other projects. And so if you kind of follow the attention, if you're a trader, it's like you kind of can see where the money moves, not based on these charts or anything like that, but where's the narrative? What are people talking about on Twitter? Because a lot of times it's just like attention is the currency in this market. And if you have attention, then most likely you can convince someone to buy your NFT. And if people buy, more people FOMO, and then the price skyrockets from there. So that's just a little learning lesson that I've learned in general. And one thing I've been personally thinking about is like the value of an NFT based on its community. So for example, I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw this guy Cass333, and he posted this thing about NFT NYC, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, because I'm gonna go to New York during this time for the event as well. And then there's like all these cool events. I'm like, damn dude, like wouldn't it be cool if I can go to these events and like meet all these other CloneX people? I don't have a CloneX, by the way, right? I was like, dude, should I buy one just for the network? I was like, I wrote this tweet, I need a CloneX, right? And then he responded, actually, he's like, yo, these events are open to everybody. He loves the YouTube channel. He's like, yo, you don't need a CloneX, just come through. And then he also replied like, hit me up or any other clones if you have any questions. And just so you guys know, I didn't know this before, but Cass333 is a moderator for Artifact Studios, CloneX, which is pretty dope. I feel like when you join a community, for example, like I'm in CyberKongs, for example, right? It's like I actually met a lot of people in NFT space, you know, just from CyberKongs, and actually whatever the price of the floor is, the value of the network, me buying a CyberKong was definitely worth the time and effort of me being part of the community, because I feel like for NFTs, community is kind of like everything, right? And so now that I got a taste of, you know, certain communities that I've been a part of in the past, like Carrefour, Nanopass, or some other communities that I'm in, now I'm exploring like different communities. I'm just thinking like, damn, actually, is it worth it just to get like one of every like good community just so that you can be part of these things and you can go to these events, because one relationship or one connection, one business partner can completely change your life. And if there's these high quality projects where, you know, people are kind of like-minded in the sense of the way they think, not that everyone's the same, but, you know, certain kind of interests, certain kind of philosophies in life, certain ambitions, then it's kind of worth it to get, you know, one of every like high quality NFT if you have the funds, right? Obviously the CloneX is like 20 ETH right now, so I gotta, you know, stack up some ETH to get that. But I mean, these events are free, which is great as well, because I can go meet the people, see if I really want to be part of the community before I actually jump in. And I definitely respect like these community members like going out their way to like put these events together. I'm not sure if like Artifact is directly contributing to them or if it's a community ran event, but either way, it's like someone is doing it, and I definitely respect that. And I'm open to meeting more people who are kind of like-minded and want to build in this space as well. Now, the last topic that I want to touch on in this video is more of a personal story of like what not to do or lessons that I've learned through investing in some alternative coins and NFTs during my time. One big lesson I've learned is that be wary of any project that takes your money and says they will invest for you. Okay, so this is a very common narrative that I've been seeing. I've seen it in NFTs, I've seen it in alternative coins as well. And I'm not gonna name out any projects. You can just like Google them or look it up on Twitter or whatever to kind of get an idea of like what type of projects I'm talking about. I'm not singling out any particular project. They all kind of do the same thing anyway. So basically this is how it works. It's not really a scheme. I mean, it's hard to know the intentions of the founders, because like if you don't know them personally, maybe they tried but they failed, or maybe they had ill intent. Doesn't matter, result is the same. So how it works is like this. A project will say, hey, you know, we have some amazing traders. We are super knowledgeable at the space. We made so much money during this time. This is why you should give us your money and we will invest it for you and we will multiply your money, and this is going to be your retirement fund. First of all, if anybody says that this is going to be your retirement fund, probably don't trust them or be very wary. Now, the second thing is the issue with these type of projects, whether they're selling you an NFT and they're like, we're starting a DAO, or if it's an alternative coin project and they're like, you buy our coins and be part of our community. You're trading your Ethereum. Let's just say your currency is Ethereum. You're trading your Ethereum. Let's say you spend like 5 Ethereum, for example, right? Even though that's kind of high for most people. Let's say you spend 5 Ethereum and then they give you an NFT or they give you a token, right? And they say, okay, this token or this NFT kind of represents how we're doing as a project. The more money we make using the Ethereum you gave us, we are going to buy our own supply and then somehow redistribute it to our holders, right? So like imagine if the project bought their own NFTs and then once a month they gave their NFT for free to some of the holders randomly, for example, right? Or maybe they have coins and distribute coins to everybody based on the profits that they make, really a small percentage of the profit that they make. Now, the problem is that the coin or the NFT that you just bought is actually worth nothing, but they created value for it because they just create the coin out of thin air. And a lot of times these projects in the beginning, they might buy their coins for extremely cheap compared to the price you bought it at, or they just gave themselves free coins as founders or team members, right? And so they're literally just creating value out of thin air, but they're actually taking your Ethereum to create that value. If the project makes money, it doesn't mean the price of your NFT or the coin will actually go up. So the treasury for that project might be increasing month over month over month. And it's like, oh my God, like these results are crazy. But the thing is, the price of the coin or the price of the NFT can go down and down and down and down. So that doesn't make sense. Why does the treasury keep increasing, but the value of my asset keeps decreasing? And the reason is because you actually traded your Ethereum. Well, for me, I actually traded my Ethereum for something that's not really worth anything, right? It's just like a token or an NFT that's kind of valueless in a sense, right? So because they made the entire system so complicated and they can't onboard new people into the ecosystem, it just doesn't work, right? The more money they make doesn't mean the value of your asset is going to increase. And if the value of your asset like decrease a lot, even if they try to buy their own supply to inflate the prices, it's just not enough to actually even break even. And we've seen this for so many different projects that are like, we're going to create a DAO and we're going to invest on your behalf, because that's like the most dangerous thing. And there's actually like a lot of like prominent like people on Twitter and stuff that have these kind of projects. It's not just one, there's like many of these projects. And like I checked out like a bunch of them and a lot of them are like going down. In the end, what typically happens is that the people that create the project, they have your money already, they're making money with more money, and they actually own 100% of their company, because you don't own the company. You just bought this basically a picture of a dog or something, or a token, for example, right? That is not representative of the actual company. So if they sold the company for like $100 million, you actually don't get any of it because they own 100% of it. So that's not really fair. So it's like somebody takes your money, they trade using your money, they make money on your money, and then they trade their tokens for Ethereum and take your money there, and then they're just going to keep making more money no matter what the price of the token is. Obviously, if the price of the token or the NFT goes up, everybody wins. But then even if the price of the NFT or the token goes down, they still win because they curate the project and they traded those worthless tokens for your Ethereum. And if you think about the traditional investing world, right? Typically, if you invest with a venture capitalist, someone who invests in startups, for example, you would give them, let's say, $1 million, right? And then whatever profit they make from investing, they're going to take 20% of that, usually, of the profit, and then they're going to take like a 1 or 2% 1% carry fee, which is just like a fee just to like manage your money, right? So it ends up to be 20% plus 2% or 1% per year, right? But if that person makes money with your money, they give you all the profits, but they only take 20% plus their management fees. But for these projects, these NFT and crypto projects I'm talking about, even if they make you money, you might be down 80% just because of how the economics are structured, right? And the thing I've learned is that the more complicated a project makes their economics or tokenomics or how the NFT reward system works, you have to hold this thing and then you have to stake it and then you get this token to buy this thing. And it's just like this complete mess. It's so difficult to understand that even if you like mapped it out, you would not understand it. The more complicated they make it, usually the more they don't know what they're doing, or their intention is actually just to fill their pockets. And we've seen this in the traditional Web2 world where the average VC cannot even beat the S&P 500. They cannot even get 8 to 11% return on investment per year, and they're professional investors, right? Like I believe 70% of the investors, professional investors, can't even beat the S&P 500. So when we're talking about like crypto, for example, yes, some people can do well, but the majority of people will actually use your money and trade with it and make more money, and they don't really care too much that you lost your money and they're just going to keep going, right? Not everybody's like that. Some people make an effort to make it right. Some people try to make up for it in other ways, or some people have good intentions and maybe they just completely flop because they're not a good founder, which is totally okay, because being a trader is not the same as being a founder or building tokenomics, right? Different skill sets. But the thing I learned is like, be very wary of any type of investment vehicle where you're trading your ETH for an NFT or coins and they invest for you, because chances are the odds are not stacked in your favor. And most of the times it's the regular average retail holders that assume a majority of the risk, not necessarily the project founders. So I just want to share that with you because it's just a learning lesson that I went through personally. Didn't lose too much money, so it's okay, but I just thought, I share it with you guys. So with that said, if you enjoy this video or you want to have talks like this, make sure to join the Parallax Discord, and I will see you guys in the next one.